What's up, guys? I'm back for another video. Today I'm going to talk about one of the most exciting teams in the NBA. It's the Celtics. The Celtics lost to the Nets in 5 games, and the series was dominated by the Nets. And now the Nets are crushing the Bucks, so I don't think the Celtics did that bad in that series. This shows me how good the Nets really are. In the one game the Celtics won, Jason Tatum had to drop 50. And it was all-around effort by the Celtics. Jaylen Brown was injured near the end of the season, and the Celtics didn't have him for that series. If they would have had him, I think they could have at least won one more game, but you never really know if he wasn't there. And the Nets were very, very dominant. Jaylen Brown should be healthy by next season, but this won't solve all the Celtics' problems. The Celtics, to me, were very disappointing this year. And without much cap space for free agents, I don't think there's a ton of room for improvement. They could have been the 5 seed. If Jaylen Brown wasn't injured, they could have got the 5 seed. But the Celtics want to win a championship. They don't want the 5 seed. They don't want a second round exit. They're going for a championship or a rebuild, I think. I don't think their expectations should be super high next year, though, because Brad Stevens is the new president. He might feel emotionally connected to these players, and that might make him not trade a player that he otherwise would. I don't know if they'll trade Kemba, but I don't think they will because of his massive contract. That makes him really hard to trade right now. That contract is so expensive. But the Celtics were shopping him last offseason, sorry. And I think they're going to do the same this offseason. I also don't think their expectations should be super high because they're gonna get a new coach, and whether that coach is a college coach or one of those coaches that bounces around the league, he probably won't be the best. I like their roster right now. I think they're missing a certain piece that'll push them over the edge to be a contender. Next season, they need to have Peyton Pritchard improve, and they'll have to rely on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for scoring and defense. They have scoring most of their players, and they have decent defense, although their defense was horrible against the Nets. I'm just going to say that. I get the Nets have a big three of scoring, but it still was bad. Like, if the Bucks can defend the Nets, then the Celtics also should. I know the Bucks have more personnel, but the Celtics should have been able to defend better. I think the Celtics need more playmaking. Marcus Smart is a good passer and a good defender, which are some of the reasons he's so valuable to this team. But I think they should try and find another playmaker. The Celtics have Peyton Pritchard as their future point guard, along with Kemba, who might be traded, and Marcus Smart signed for at least 2 more years. So, with their 16th pick, I think they will grab a point guard or shooting guard. Peyton Pritchard will hopefully take a step up and be a starter this year if they trade Kemba. And if he's a starter, again, he needs to step up. Playmaking, handling the ball, being that guy who just brings the ball down the court. Peyton Pritchard needs to step up. The Celtics don't have a ton of room for improvement in free agency right now because they're way over the cap. Jason Tatum's max contract starts next year while they're still trying to pay Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown a ton of money. The best way to get out of this would be trade Kemba and some picks. This is why Kemba trade rumors are going around so much. If they trade Kemba, they might be able to sign Evan Fournier. They'll be over the cap, but they might be able to sign Evan Fournier back if they trade Kemba. If he accepts a smaller contract too. He needs to accept a small contract, and they need to trade Kemba. They'll still be over the cap. They might re-sign him, though. They could just... Possible trades for Kemba could be to the Mavs for Kristaps Porzingis, who didn't play well in the playoffs. KP's contract could last till 2023 to 2024 season, which I wouldn't be happy about as a Celtics fan. Another trade could be for Al, Al Horford, and for Kemba and a first. I like this trade. Give up. The Celtics would give up a first in Kemba, but I think the cap relief with Al Horford is worth it. And I think Al Horford is not washed up yet. I think he can still play. And I think Al Horford could be a productive player for the Celtics. Maybe even play some small ball five for the Celtics if Robert Williams gets hurt too much. If they don't sign any centers in free agency. This relieves the I think this relieves the Celtics cap by $10 million ish. Not a ton. They wouldn't be out of cap debt, but it's still a lot of money, like $10 million. I think I'm gonna give. I think giving up a first rounder is worth it to get that much cap relief and how Al Horford. They have tons of young talent on their roster, so I don't think they necessarily need another first round pick. If the cap goes up, this might help re-sign Evan Fournier too. Their other free agents are Semi Ojeleye, Luke Cornett, who the Celtics probably won't re-sign if we're being honest. They don't have enough cap space, even though they might not ask for much. They may sign Semi Ojeleye back if he doesn't ask for too much. I don't think they will. If the Celtics clear some cap space and they don't re-sign Evan Fournier, they might be able to sign a free agent. They don't really need a center because they have the Time Lord and they have Tristan Thompson. But Robert Williams needs to find a way to stay healthy. I'm telling you, he needs to find a way to stay healthy for the Celtics. His potential is so high if he stays healthy. I think the Celtics have a limited future because of their cap situation. They need major steps from their existing roster to be a good team in the East, which can happen, but I don't think it's very likely. I think Peyton Pritchard could be their next point guard and their point guard for the future because of his play this season. Though he was a rookie, he played really good this season. And they have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum as their star scorers for the future. Jason Tatum needs to be more consistent and needs to improve on defense, but has killer sidestep. If they trade Kemba Walker, I think Pritchard will become their next starting point guard and their point guard for the future, which I think will help this team's success. When thinking of the future, you also have to think of the draft, and I think the draft will help this team. They have the number 16th pick this year. If they don't trade this year's pick to get Kemba, they could go after a lot of different guys. With the 16th pick, the Celtics could try and get Jaden Springer. I think he's underrated in this year's draft and is a difference maker on the court. When he's on the court for Tennessee just was 10 times better in my opinion. Tennessee offense didn't shoot many threes, but I think he could develop into a decent three-point shooter. And I think he could be the shooting guard after Marcus Smart for the Celtics. They have similar styles, in my opinion. Marcus Smart could be a great mentor for him. They could go for a center like Sharp out of North Carolina. I don't think they need a center right now. It's hard to predict who will fall, but there are some good guards in this class. And I think the Celtics would take a guard if they had the chance. Celtics may not build around the draft. They might just trade away their picks to get rid of cap space. But they need to think about who will they keep long term. Yes, they're going to keep Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Hopefully, Jaylen Brown might leave after his contract expires, but that's a different video. I think they will keep Peyton Pritchard and Robert Williams. Jabari Parker is a nice piece off the bench who could be a difference maker off the bench and a scorer. Aaron Naismith didn't play too well in my opinion, but the team gave him good minutes, which is a good sign. They believe in his development. Overall, Celtics need to clear some cap space if they want to do much on this offseason, which they'll probably try and do by trading Kemba. But they need to make good decisions with their cap space and hope the cap goes up. Then they'll need to have players such as Jason Tatum, Peyton Pritchard, Romeo Langford, Aaron Naismith, and Robert Williams all to progress throughout the season, or at least a few of them to progress. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and sub if you want. See you next time.